Hey everyone, welcome back for another talk video. This one's going to be about deaths and stories. Of course, I'm mostly going to be focused on anime because that's just how it is, okay? In any case, hold on a second. Okay, there we go. Um, I like that. I like deaths and stories. I really do. But just just a death itself doesn't make it good. It doesn't, magically make the whole series good, despite how much I can like death. And it can be a really poorly executed death if it's not thought out. So I'm gonna go over like four examples of them. Talk a little bit about it, and obviously that means it's going to be spoiler territory. So I'll say the show ahead of time, and Anyway, let's get into it. The first type of death I want to talk about is a waste kind of death. Now I only have one. I picked one show for each category, but I can't. But for this one, I can't even particularly right off the top of my head think of another one, and this could be from a familiar of Zero. Now, somewhere in the story, and I have an idea where, but I won't say. The main character is a male character, and his name is Saito. And there's this girl who's the main girl in the series, and called Lucille, I believe. And she's a two-sunder. She abuses them, and honestly, the short version is she's a terrible character. She's just a terrible human being. And in the case, she's gonna protect her kingdom by sacrificing herself, fighting like an army of 70,000 or something, and for whatever reason, Saito decides to save her. I honestly don't get it because the way she treats him doesn't make sense for him to care about her. But that is what it is. So he gives her a potion. She falls asleep, and he fights the army of 70,000 and dies. So it was a really done scene, right? I have absolutely no complaints. It was epic. It was emotional. It was. If I had like if I made top list, it would be like in top. I would put it in the top 10, sure. I mean, no, well, maybe top 20 anime deaths. Well, in terms of execution, in terms of the character himself, you don't particularly care about the guy. But anyway, keep it on the point. He ends up coming back to life because he's revived, and him and Lucy see each other at the front gates of the thing. There's nobody else around. They run at each other, hug, and it's such an amazingly emotional scene. Now, personally, I'm already displeased that he came back alive, but no, yeah, effectively no. They didn't have to do that. They could have done something. The fact that he came back alive, yes. Actually, I'm gonna change partially what I was planning on saying just a little bit. I'm not happy with that he came back alive. This was an utter waste of potential. They could have used his death as a catalyst to mature the character of Lucille, and make her less of a thunder, make her think before she acts, make her appreciate those around her. Train to become a better maid, so she can protect people she cares about. It had so much potential to make her a better character than she was. Because honestly, up to this point, most of the series is pretty freaking bad. It's like a comedy, ecchi series with like no value whatsoever for the most of it. It's utter shit. But And oh yes, I should go take a step back. The first thing he says to remind you is hey, I was saved by a big-breasted fairy. So not only does he come back to life and ruin the potential that Lucille could have had, from a actual good story standpoint, but he also says something utterly retarded and even kills the emotional sacrifice if you still even have those effects left after he just comes back to life. So yes, to me this was a wasted potential type of death, which they could have done something with it. They could have done something good with it, but they chose not to. The next type of death, which I'm gonna say is under comedy, and in this particular case, it might not exactly be the one that a good example of this, because there are other ones, but I can't remember what their names are. So anyway, Soredemo Machi wa Mawatteiru. I'll I'll be putting the names of these series in the description, just in case anybody cares. And that in this one, it's like the very last episode. It's a short comedy series, and then it's like 13th episode. The main character Hattori is hit by a vehicle and she dies, and she goes to heaven, which is pretty much the same thing as real life, except for they're dead and some people like do jobs as angels and they could like go into this little arcade thing and look at the living and whatnot. But yeah, it's it's just actually kind of a mix between comedy and emotional because you're seeing the character after they're dead, so it's a little bit hard for me to take it seriously compared to when that's it. Once they're gone, they're gone. You don't see them anymore. And this type of death thing isn't bad in the right show. Personally, in this show, while this was actually my favorite episode. My other Oh yeah, I'm not gonna say the other things I liked about it, but there were some other things I liked about it. But the rest of the series was pretty much slice of life comedy. There was no like overarching. There was no major goal, and there was just like random chilling in a coffee shop and you know doing daily things. I can't even particularly remember some of the things they did because it was just so mundane. But this last episode just came out of nowhere, and it kind of like felt like the only plot in the entire thing. But I couldn't really take it seriously because of the type of show it is. So I still categorize this type of death under like comedy for comedy. The third type of death is going to be pointless. Now, if you, oh man, I'm sure, I'm sure at least somebody must know what I mean by this. A series that has pointless deaths, and the best, absolute best by so much is Dragon Ball Z. Oh my gosh, this series! I used to like it. I used to be a huge fan, but you grow up, you grow out of it, you mature, you realize how retarded it is with the plot. I mean, they got the fucking plot armor. They got the plot devices with the Zenzu beans and the freaking Dragon Balls. Hell, they even got fucking gods as friends, man. So when a character loses an arm or they fucking die, you can't take it seriously at all. This is beyond comedy. This is not comedy because they want you to take it seriously, but you can't. It's like it's funny in a not funny way. is this because it's supposed to be a serious. You're supposed to like somehow take it seriously, but you can't, right? Because the characters have like several methods of coming back to life. You know, restoring any injuries they take. They don't have a backstory. They don't really have any like stories that make you give a shit about them. The length of the series is ridiculously and pointlessly long, just to keep throwing random enemies in the way. But yeah, like when in shows like this where a character dies and you just know they're gonna come back. You have no you just feel not you just feel nothing. This this I really hate it. Let's move on, okay? I really hate it. And the final one I came up with, I don't if unless there's other categories, is a perfect death, quote unquote perfect. You know, kind of like the ideal type of death for me, which is in Gurren Lagann, and it's the male main character Kamiya. He's like the older guy of the pair between him and the kid he hangs out with. Now, Kamiya's death. While I won't give the details of when it happens and whatnot, his death is great. He dies for the sake two reasons. One one to protect all the people he cares about, and two to motivate the actual main character of the story, which is Simone, this little kid with a drill. Simone has no confidence for himself. I mean, he is a whiny, pathetic brat, which does end up changing. He does progress into a more likable character as the story goes on. But this was because of Kamiya's death. This is one of the reasons I love deaths in story. I love the emotion you get from it. That that sad sad feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're gone. And then it's it's really hard. I guess it's hard to explain with words if you don't experience the emotion yourself. I love when I love when characters die, but not just die. I mean, first of all, yes, I want there to be a purpose between the death. Actually, think of another death thing. Okay, I'll use one more series that has deaths in it as an example. That's pretty well known as well. Akame ga Kill. Characters that die in that, it's I really enjoy that as well because they have their their deaths is generally not to deaths are in that are generally not really to motivate another character. I mean, a couple cases it does, but it also goes along with the line that they said like early in the show where the male main character said something about like they're heroes, and I think it was the boss said like, no, killing is a crime, killing is a sin or bad, no matter what way you cut it. Eventually we're gonna have to atone for our sins. So I really appreciated the anime version of it, which, you know, they didn't forget that line. They actually kept it relevant to the freaking thing. by having character deaths. And I really enjoyed that because in their case, I would say they died fighting for their beliefs. That's another thing I really like when no matter how bad the odds are stacked yes, the odds are stacked against you. You will not fold in. You will not betray your friends. You won't switch to the other side. You won't throw away your morals. Those who die fighting for their beliefs, I really love that. So death deaths can be a very entertaining thing, but if they're done wrong or not taken advantage of, it could hurt the series. Even if the series isn't really that good or serious in the first place. So I kind of already have an idea of what the community's opinions on deaths in shows are because I've seen a lot of them. So I'm not going to ask for that this time. But in a general sense, you can go. Feel free to leave your thoughts on a general concept. It doesn't on this topic. It doesn't have to be about anime. But I do want to limit it to works of fiction. Well, I mean, video games or anime or manga. Limit it to that. And that will be all for this one. I hope this was an interesting topic. Because this is like actually my second time recording because I didn't feel the first one was. I didn't feel the first time I recorded it was well enough. In any case, that will be all for this one. Thank you for stopping by and have a good day.